All right, we're in our final lesson of World War II, and the title is The War Ends. So, not a big surprise title there for this section. Um, the first word is revenge, and I'm sorry it's a little blurry there. The act of getting back at someone for some wrongdoing. What happened in the invasion of Italy? Next page, counterattack. Say counterattack. To fight back following an attack. Question, how did the Allies push the Germans back? World War II in Europe, you can see these are the Axis powers. That's as far as they went for the Axis powers. These are neutral countries, and these are some of the big battles where you can see the stars. In which country was the Battle of the Bulge fought? So you can see that's in the country of France. How many major battles were fought? In 1943, according to the map, in 1943, one, two, I only see three. Okay. Let's go on. Oh, what was the Yalta Agreement? Next vocabulary, bunker. Say bunker. That's an underground shelter. So think about something you go into so you don't get hurt by a bomb. Next one is atomic bomb. Say atomic bomb. How did the war end? Why were atomic bombs dropped on Japan? There's that famous mushroom cloud. And of course, the destruction. Hiroshima. Uh, last vocabulary word, ceasefire. Say ceasefire. And that says a call for an end to fighting. All right, let's saddle up that horse and get going. Giddy up. Here we go. Despite the desire for revenge against Japan for Pearl Harbor, the United States decided that Hitler's Germany must be defeated first. Isn't that interesting? The United States had strong ties to countries already defeated by Germany. Also, Germany seemed to be a greater threat to the Western Hemisphere than Japan did. Yeah, Germany was the aggressor already for a while. They were doing a lot. We might It'd be great to think that we were fighting to save the Jews. It really wasn't the case. It's just they're taking over every country. We were afraid that they'd be unstoppable at some point. Okay. Certainly, Soviet Russia was doing a good job of slowing them down. Going next paragraph, the only way to defeat Germany was through an Allied invasion of Europe. The Allies planned to hit Germany from the south through Italy and invade France from Britain. At the same time, the Soviet Union could move against the Germans from the east, right? So from three different directions. All right, what happened in the invasion of Italy? American, Canadian, and British troops invaded Italy in September 1943. They captured the island of Sicily first. As Mussolini lost the island, the Italian people, tired of war, captured and executed him. The new rebel Italian government soon surrendered to the Allied powers. So, what happened? They invaded Italy, and their own people killed their own leader, right? They killed their own fascist dictator, Benito Mussolini. Determined to protect Germany's southern boundary, Hitler advanced toward Italy. The Allies finally captured the city of Rome on June 4th, 1944. At this time, however, the Germans occupied most of northern Italy. Okay, going on. How did the Allies push the Germans back? The Nazis, who had known for some time that the United States was planning an invasion, prepared for the coast of France. The beaches became death traps. The Nazis laid exploding mines in the water. They strung barbed wire all along the sandy shore. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, commander of the Allied armies, landed his troops on the beaches of Normandy, France on June 6, 1944. So just a couple days after, right, they're doing this kind of all at the same time, remember. This was known as D-Day. It was a very tough battle. However, by night, the Allies occupied about 60 miles of the French coast. They could begin to move toward Germany. So if you've ever seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, that's kind of this reenactment in the beginning of the movie of taking the beaches of Normandy, France, and that's D-Day or part of the D-Day invasion. And uh, yes, it was very heavily defended, but once they were able to land the troops, that was more or less the beginning of the end for Germany and really for World War II. Okay. All right, going on. By December 1944, the Allies were confident that Germany's forces were trapped. But then, suddenly, the Germans counterattacked. The German army pushed through the Allied line. On a map of Europe, a large bulge represented Hitler's takeover of Allied territory. Led by General George Patton, the Allies counterattacked. The Germans were pushed back. The confrontation became known as the Battle of the Bulge. It was the last offensive by the German army. So here it is, right? If this is the line, and if this is all controlled by the Germans, they're pushing through Normandy, getting there, and then the Germans start to push back, and then through Patton, General Patton, and there's a pretty good movie on him, so pretty interesting to watch. Pushes back the Germans this way again. Okay, so when they say the last German offensive, it's the last big hurrah by the German army. What was the Yalta Agreement? President Roosevelt was reelected for a fourth term in 1944. The strain of the war had taken its toll. He was able to cope with his polio. That is a disease that put you in a wheelchair and it can kill you as well. But he suffered from a number of other physical problems. Going on. There was hope that the war against Germany would end early in 1945. Allied leaders met in February 1945 in Yalta, a small town on the Black Sea in the Soviet Union. Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin agreed on a plan to follow when Germany surrendered. The plan became known as the Yalta Agreement. The plan had several points. First, the Soviet Union agreed to enter the war against Japan. Second, Germany would be divided into 4 zones, each controlled by one of the Allies. Third, the Soviet Union would hold democratic elections in Eastern European countries under its control. Fourth, a world organization called the United Nations would be created. The Yalta Agreement seemed reasonable at the time. However, after the war ended, parts of the agreement caused political problems between the United States and the Soviet Union. How did the war end? President Franklin Roosevelt died suddenly in April 1945. The nation was in shock. Vice President Harry S. Truman became president. On April 25, 1945, Adolf Hitler killed himself in a bunker in Berlin. A bunker is an underground shelter. Germany surrendered. The war in Europe was over. So, all within a month, Franklin Roosevelt dies. We have a new president, which was the vice president. Adolf Hitler commits suicide. And then, just another week or so, 2 weeks I think it is. I think it's May 7th. Germany surrenders. Okay? So a lot happens within a month. And FDR or Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the only president to serve more than 2 terms. Okay, he was elected 4 different times. Pretty crazy. All right, the United States began to control the advance of the Japanese military. The Allies were led by American Army General Douglas MacArthur and Navy Admiral Chester Nimitz. Japan lost Guadalcanal, the Philippines, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. Despite the losses, the Japanese refused to surrender. The Allies began an invasion of Japan. So their allies are taken out. Italy's gone. Germany is gone. Japan is not giving up, even though they're losing these different territories and, like I said, all their friends. But that is the idea that I told you in the beginning of this lesson, the last one of Bushido, to never give up. That to surrender is a great disgrace. You need to basically die in battle. Okay? All right, why were atomic bombs dropped on Japan? President Truman learned that the United States had developed a new weapon called the atomic bomb, or ABOB. This bomb could end the war, but it would cause enormous loss of Japanese lives. Truman was advised that over 1 million American soldiers' lives would be lost. The United States invaded Japan on land. Such an invasion would also kill countless Japanese people. In an effort to avoid using the atomic bomb, the president gave one last warning to Japan. Japan, however, refused to surrender. Truman decided that he must approve the use of the atomic bomb on Japan. On August 6, 1945, from a plane named Enola Gay, the atomic bomb was dropped on the city of Hiroshima. The weapon destroyed that major Japanese city and instantly killed or wounded 130,000 people. 3 days later, a second atomic bomb was dropped on the city of Nagasaki, killing or wounding 75,000 people. On August 14, 1945, Japan asked for a ceasefire. They wanted to end the fighting. General MacArthur accepted the formal surrender of Japan on September 2, 1945. World War II, the worst war in history, was finally over. All right, fill in the blank. Allied troops captured blank in 1943. The attack on Normandy was called. The Germans were pushed back in the. Allied leaders met at. America dropped atomic bombs on blank and Nagasaki. So again, you can pause and go back and find those answers. But it is a pretty crazy end when you think about all that's happening here in this, right? We invade Europe. We push the Germans back. Our president dies. Hitler commits suicide. The Germans surrender. The Japanese are not going down until we bomb 2 huge cities. And then they finally say, okay. So whether that was right or wrong is one of those great debates in history. Bottom line, it happens. And did it work? Well, yeah. Okay. Okay, that is it for today, and that is it for World War II. I hope that you got enough. You can almost re-listen to it. And there's the videos and the presentations as well. Take care.